All right, Jam Fam, so it has been a little while. I don't even know if I know how to record anymore, but we're going to muscle through this. We're going to get this done. If you don't know, I haven't been away for a little while. I've been extremely busy in my real life. I've had a lot of stuff on my plate and just have not had a lot of time for YouTube, but I'm trying to get back on the horse again, trying to get the YouTube channel going again. And there was a whole update cycle that I missed. I didn't do my React to Brawl Talk. I didn't do my W's and L's, and I am like really far behind on like all that stuff. So today, what I want to do is I asked my Discord to give me their W and L's from the update. I'm gonna go over everything that they mention, and I will give you guys my opinions on it. I have watched Brawl Talk, so I am informed about this stuff for the most part. I didn't watch all the sneak peeks, but I did watch like the Brawler sneak peeks, and I watched like the Wasabi's star powers and stuff like that. So I do know exactly, like, I know all that stuff that's going on, but I'll give you guys my opinions as we go through all this stuff. And I am gonna be giving away 3 Brawl Passes to people who participate in this. So there is a chance to win a Brawl Pass from this video, well, at least for the people that actually participated, and I'm gonna be reacting to. If you want to participate in this stuff in the future, make sure you join my Discord. I do this stuff every once in a while, and I'm trying to get a little more consistent with that as well. But anyway, let's get into it. Let's start yapping, and we will start talking about the update and what people think about it, and I'll give you guys my opinions as well. Let me know what you think about it down in the comments, and let's go. All right, so I do know there were going to be a couple hot button issues, so I tried to tell people to be original, and that's because there's 2 big things predominating like over the conversation about this update, and that's going to be the topic of ultra legendary brawlers. People are not generally happy with that, and this is the dumbest one in my opinion, Melody's height. As you can see, the very first reply to me was talking about Melody's height, and they changed Melody's height if you don't know, and in my opinion, it's a very dumb conversation to have. All right, so here is Melody's height change. So as you can see, this is the old version of Melody. She's a lot taller, her head's a little bit smaller, and her legs, I think, are longer or something like that. Well, all the gooners in the Brawl Stars community are very upset because they made her shorter by about 1,000 pixels. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure somebody has counted it out, and I'm sure on Reddit somewhere there's somebody who's like, yeah, the exact number of pixels that it changed. That's not me. I don't really care. They made her shorter. And apparently her head is a little bit bigger. It could just be a perspective thing. And then her legs are apparently shorter. Now, my opinion is that if you care about this and you're upset about it and you want to quit the game because they made Melody shorter, you have too much time on your hands and you need to get a life. This does not matter. It's really not that big a deal. The game is a top-down game. You play looking at the top of your character's head and you don't really see that much more of her. Yes, in a menu, it might look a little bad. It might look a little worse. I do agree the change should not have happened. They probably should have left her this way because, like, you wasted time doing this. But also, it's not worth, like, having an entire riot on Twitter about and threatening to quit the game and calling Supercell stupid and all that stuff. You're wasting too much time and too much breath on this, and it's really not that big a deal. So that's my opinion on Melody change. You can tell me what an idiot I am down in the comments because I do not agree with you. But in general, I think if you care about this stuff, you have too much time on your hands and you're a bit of a gooner. And of course, it did not take long. L for the new rarity, W for the skins. All right, so let's start talking about the skins real quick. We'll go over those really quick. So in my opinion, I think they did a... This seems like it's really far off, doesn't it? This seems like really far off. It's supposed to be like more like... Yeah, that looks better, right? All right, so let's talk about the skins really quick. So I think they did a really good job of the skins. I generally don't talk about skins in W's and L's because it's like a subjective thing, and it's really like I do like in my head say I'm gonna do skin reviews, but I never end up doing the skin reviews anyway. At least I haven't done them recently. I want to get back on that, by the way. But in my head, I don't really talk about skins in W's and L's because A, I want to do a review of them, and B, it's a subjective thing. I can't give skins like a W because for the most part, because like if you don't like it, then it's an instant like L or whatever, and like not everyone's gonna buy all the skins anyway. They do a good job with skins a lot of the time, and I do think that is worth mentioning. With that being said, I think they did a really good job with a lot of the skins in this update. A lot of the Japanese looking skins, those look really great in my opinion. I'm a big fan of Kenji's hypercharged skin. I really like the animation style of that. I think that is great. And there's skins for like brawlers that don't really get a ton all the time. Like Ash is getting 2 skins. Finks is already getting a mecha skin, which I think is a little wild, but also it's cool to see a new brawler get a legendary skin immediately. I think that's really cool. I think this skin is actually one that I'm a little disappointed about. And it's not even that I think the skin's bad, because I think Tanukis are cool and I think it's a very cute skin. This is worded really poorly. I can't spell when I'm on Twitter. I really don't care that much. But basically what I'm trying to say here, I'm confused now. Is Sprout the actual plant inside the incubator or the incubator himself? Because the way this looks, it looks like Sprout's supposed to be the Tanuki, which fundamentally changes the brawler. But also you could say that like the smiley face is the plant and that's the Brawler, then what is the Tanuki here for? I don't know. I had like a whole long rant about it on stream the other day, and I was very confused about it. And people started to think, started thinking, like, what is Sprout actually? Is he the incubator or is he the plant? And yeah, I don't know. I don't really know about the skin. I think it's a cool skin, but it very much confuses me about Sprout. And then I had this reply on here, and this was really dumb. He says he's the Tanuki, and then he starts talking about Surge becomes an ape in his skin, and Meg becomes a pirate in her skin, and Brock becomes a Power Ranger in his skin. But like, those are literally all just costumes. This isn't a costume. This is a plant becoming an animal, so it's different. So is Sprout the plant? Or is he the animal? And if he's the animal, this is the first skin that actually changes the Brawler entirely. And I don't know anymore. I really don't know. But anyway, skins are a big W, so let's start talking about the legendary Brawler. The ultra legendary Brawler, I should say. Kaze. Now, I think Kaze as a Brawler is perfectly fine. I think she's a bit interesting. And I do think that her design is a direct, like, correlation from Buzz Lightyear. I think Buzz Lightyear being a Brawler that had different modes inspired them to take that idea and make it a Brawler, and then make it so you could switch modes while in an actual match. I do think that was a direct decision from Buzz Lightyear, which is kind of what I was trying to get at in my last W's and L's about that Buzz Lightyear update, was that they can use temporary Brawlers to inspire inspirations and mechanics about future Brawlers, just as like a test run for it. For example, Buzz Lightyear didn't work because, you know, he was very annoying, is very overpowered, and you didn't really, every form of him was very OP and all that stuff. There's a lot of reasons to not like Buzz Lightyear, and I get it. So, like I said, I think Buzz Lightyear was a direct inspiration for Kaze's design, being able to switch modes and all that in a game, so you basically have, two Brawlers stacked on one another, and then you just switch between the two. I do think that was a direct, inspiration from Buzz Lightyear, but I honestly don't really want to talk too much about Kaze herself. I think I want to talk more about the existence of Ultra Legendary Brawlers. I honestly think Ultra Legendary Brawlers are a very bad idea for the game in general, and I actually want to make a whole video diving into this, but I think that Supercell's goal is to make the game more pay to win without making people mad about it. And it definitely feels this way with a lot of recent changes that they made. I have to go through and do a whole bunch of research and get stats right and all that before I actually make this video. But they've done a lot of anti free-to-play stuff that people have kind of just let slide for a very long time, and it's starting to add up a lot more. And I think that it's finally coming to a head with making a Brawler that's so expensive you can't even get them with one Brawl Pass. And I'm talking they've slipped very simple things in that people didn't really question all that much, removing free-to-play access from the Brawl Pass and removing free hypercharges every season like they did with Hypercharge Unleashed. Those are obviously very old changes, but now we have a whole Brawler that you can't get with one Battle Pass. Now you have to buy 2 Battle Passes if you want to get that Brawler for sure without, dipping into your gem funds or hoping for RNG. And it's things like these are just constantly adding up nonstop, and I feel like I said, I feel like they're trying to make the game more pay to win without making people mad about it. And I do want to do a whole video about it, so I don't want to talk about it too much here. But I think the existence of ultra legendary brawlers is not great for the game. And I know that they have said that they don't only want to do 1 a year, but first off, 1 a year is still a lot. That's still going to eat up 2 battle passes, plus they're going to drop a brawler on that other battle pass too. So you're going to be backed up 2 brawlers at some point for sure, just because of this one change. And on top of that, just because they say they only want to do 1 a year doesn't mean they'll actually commit to that. For a good example of this is that we used to only get 1 legendary brawler for every year and a half or so, and last year we got 3. We got 3 legendary brawlers starting from Kit, then we got Draco, then we got Kenji. So who's to say that when they design a new brawler, they like the mechanic so much, they just push it up to ultra legendary, and players be damned, deal with it, you're stuck with it. They're not going to change the brawler's rarity back down once the brawler's out, so you're just kind of stuck with it. You got to deal with it. And I know that sounds very cynical, and I come out very negative when I talk about this stuff like this, but honestly, I'm telling it to you like it's real. They are a company, and what they care about is different than what we as players care about. They care about making money and keeping the game going, and we care about game balancing and game economy and stuff like that. And we want to play the game and have a good time, but they want to keep the game going for as long as possible and make as much money to expand the game's reach and all that. Obviously, those are good things. We obviously don't want them to not make money and shut down, but we want the game to be in a healthy state, and that's where we're going to be opposed, and that's why I say the things I say. because I see the way it's going and I don't like it. So I gotta say it. All right, well, let me get off my soapbox and quit ranting. Obviously, you know how I feel about ultra legendary brawlers at this point. Let's get back into the W's and L's. So Mohammed, he says that W, in his opinion, is gonna be the MOBA game mode, which is basically Siege 2.0, and the new PvE modes because he is now a fan of Moko. Now, I do agree these are W's, in my opinion. I think that they did a really good job from what I've seen of the MOBA mode. MOBA is something that I think the game really should have done a few years ago. Maybe the roster wasn't big enough or something like that, or maybe they didn't want to make that big of a drastic change. But I think adding 5v5 with actual contention from bots and stuff like that in the game, I think that is a genius idea, and I'm excited to try it out. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I think it's going to be the best 5v5 game mode by a long shot. Then Mohammed goes on to say L is probably that they haven't fixed some of the older bugs left, noticeably like the quest sorting bug, and it is sad to see when they don't patch out stupid bugs like that. So maybe eventually that'll get fixed, but I won't hold my breath for it, honestly. All right, next up we got Walid, who I don't recognize in the server, but hello, welcome. So they say W game modes. We just talked about those, especially Brawl Arena, which I believe is the MOBA mode, which we just talked about, obviously. And he likes the Wasabi event program. There will be 4 weeks, and each week will be specifically bringing something special and will not feel repetitive for a whole month. I don't really know about the whole it not feeling repetitive for a month. I'm very skeptical about that. I will say about Wasabi, I'm sure eventually someone's going to mention the Wasabi powers. The Wasabi powers are very much just rehashes of old mutations. They're more than half of them are just rehashes of old mutations. They have improved on some of them. Shelly's is different, Stu's is different, some stuff like that. There's different ones, but there are a lot that are just the same. And most notably, they brought back Rico's and Ruff's mutations, which ruined the game. They were very unfun to play with, and I'm not excited about that at all. So that sucks, and it's probably going to ruin the game mode in general because people are going to cheese Ruffs and Rico, and it's going to make it very unfun to play with Wasabi powers, even though some of them look very interesting. All right, next up we got Flame and Fire. So Flame and Fire says that for W's, he'd say all the quality of life changes, especially the ones related to gadgets. So specifically, he's mentioning about how gadgets, you can now tell if somebody's on gadget cooldown by paying attention to the little indicator under their feet. Their gadget icon is supposed to go away while it's on cooldown, and then it comes back when it's not. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm never going to be able to take advantage of that personally. I don't pay that much attention. I can barely pay attention to where my character is on the map half the time, let alone a little itty bitty spot on my enemy's feet. So for me personally, I'm never going to be able to take advantage of that. But if you are that skilled and you are that in depth with the game, great for you. This is a great change. But for me, it doesn't really matter. And then for his L's, he says that some of the game modes look meh and that he doesn't like that the Wasabi event is kind of just recycled. And I do agree with that. It does seem like on the outside right now that a lot of the Wasabi event is just mutations with a different skin, with a Japanese skin on it now. And that could be associated with the fact that whatever their collab was for this season pulled out at the last minute. And they kind of had a rush to get this done. And it's cool that they pulled something out of a hat and got it done. But it could also be the reason why a lot of the Wasabi star powers are just mutations again, is because instead of redesigning everything, they just took whatever they had new, and then they just took whatever they had old and kind of just mixed everything up and tried to make it work. All right, Calamari says a W for the new Brawler. It's nice to have a Brawler that isn't just another non-human nothing burger of a character, having personality rather than looks. So I think he's talking about Jae Young here, because Kaze kind of struck me as a nothing burger brawler. And yeah, I hate to say it because she's okay and she's got interesting mechanics, but Kaze just kind of struck me as just like Kenji's wife brawler, nothing crazy about her. But as far as Jae Young goes, he is a bit interesting. I kind of relate a little bit too much to him. He's an older guy. He's an adult that's kind of burned out from work and he likes to cut loose on the weekends. I get it. And people are calling me Jae Young. People are saying Jam Young is real. I don't see the comparison here, but whatever. It is what it is. So I get where Calamari's coming from. I get that he's a brawler that is definitely unique in his own regard. His personality is not like any other brawler we've seen. He's a brawler that has a real job, that actually cuts loose on the weekends and likes to sing karaoke. That's interesting. And I can see why people could see that being fun if that's what he's talking about. If he's talking about Kaze, I don't see it. I don't know what he's talking about as far as any brawler having any personality there. That brawler struck me as no personality at all. You could correct me if I'm wrong, but I didn't see that brawler being interesting personality-wise at all. All right, so next up we got Sordy. So his W's are a lot of the things we already talked about. He's got quality of life changes. He's got rewards that will help you get ultra legendary brawler, the samurai theme, and the game modes. So those are all his W's. We already talked about all that stuff. For his L's though, he did bring up one interesting one. These are a lot of the rehashes of that. We're not going to really mention it too much, but he did bring up one interesting one, the rework to Heist. No one asked for this. Maybe it'll bring more balance and ways to come back, but it could also just make Heist more of a war of attrition. I'm kind of mixed on the Heist rework. At first, I was like, oh, that's a good idea. I kind of like it. And then I played Heist, and I don't know how I feel about it now. Now, my gut says that this is better, and it's probably the way Heist should have been for a little while, because the idea of Heist was always to be kind of like a give and pull type of game mode. Like, you push onto the safe, then when, you know, the enemies respawn and you have to back off, or when you run out of ammo, you need to back off and go bail out, and then try to maintain control without losing control entirely. Like, that was always the idea of Heist. But with this modern day of brawlers, you could just run a full aggro team, dive bomb onto the safe, and if both teams did that, then it was just a base race, and it really just depended on who got there first and who did their damage more consistently. And I was never really a big fan of that playstyle of Heist. Like, it worked in certain situations in old Brawl Stars when there was only 30-something brawlers in the game. Now that there's newer brawlers and way higher DPS standards than there was back in the day, it doesn't really feel the same. Like, Heist felt like it was falling behind very quickly. For example, Melody shredded the safe. Then you got brawlers like Edgar. If you could get him on the safe, he would do a ton of damage. Then there's things like 8-Bit's gadget that allows him to shoot from forever far away, like unlimited ammo. Stuff like that felt like it was kind of ruining Heist in my opinion. So I understand why they made the changes they made. But in general, I think Heist might be a little bit worse and it might be a little bit more annoying to play. We'll see how it ends up going with like finals and stuff like that. But truthfully, like, I didn't love what I was playing. Thankfully, though, this is a change I could see them reverting if people really don't like it and if it becomes a problem and, you know, pros complaining about it in competitive and stuff like that. This is a change I could see them walking back or actually, like, focusing on reworking. They're trying to rework it to make the game more enjoyable. And if we're not enjoying it, this is a change that I could see them making. It's not like removing an entire rarity of Brawler or anything like that. They'll never do that. But they will make like changes to reworks with input from people. So we'll see what ends up happening. This is something that I am hopeful for, but as of right now, I'm still skeptical about it. I don't love it, but I understand why they made the changes. That is all the people that give their W's and L's. So there's a lot of people that like the game modes. A lot of people like the theme of it. Skins were a very popular thing for the most part. Only one person mentioned Heist. Only one person mentioned Melody's height, which is probably because I said, you know, don't mention Melody's height because I don't want to talk about it 1,000 times. A couple people did mention ultra legendaries though, even after I said that. So maybe they didn't get the memo, but yeah. All right, now we're just going to spin the wheel to give out the Brawl Passes to see who actually ends up winning the Brawl Pass. We got to get 3 people into this. So like I said, I give away 3 Brawl Passes for everybody. So first off, we're going to have Pyro winning one. So Pyro's going to win one. Cool. Good for Pyro. We got to remove Pyro's name now. Next up, we're going to have... I wish I could skip the animation. Java, I'm going to have to talk to him because that is actually my... my thumbnail maker, and I already give him a Brawl Pass, so maybe he want it, maybe he won't. I'll talk to him, though. All right, so Java, Pyro, and the third one's gonna be Thor? Thor. W. Thor. Cool, cool, cool. All right, so Thor won one. There we go. All right, so that's going to do it. We did a react to everyone's W's and L's. I picked out who's going to get the passes from participating in the event. So if you want to do this stuff, if you want to be part of this community, make sure you join my Discord. Like I said at the beginning of the video, links are in the description of all my videos. Make sure you join and keep an eye out for any time I ping or anything like that. That's how I do this type of stuff. And in the meantime, you can let me know what you think about this update down in the comments. You can do your W's and L's. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed my yapping. I will try to get out some more riveting types of content within the next couple of days. So keep an eye out for that. But anyway, thanks for watching. If you made it this far, you're a real one. And I will catch you guys next time. Peace.